Some of Australia's top astronomers are calling on the government to invest and become a full member of a Europe-backed observatory currently under construction in Chile. The telescope will be the largest in the world and is aptly named the Extremely Large Telescope. Joining us live is Orsola De Marco, Professor of Physics at Macquarie University's Astronomy, Astrophysics and Astrophotonics Research Centre. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. When we talk about space, often it is tricky for lay people like us to understand, but I think this being called the Extremely Large Telescope is something that we can all grasp. Tell us a bit more about it. Just how big are we actually talking here?
So when we talk about telescopes, we're talking about the size of the main mirror. So this is a 40-meter telescope. At the moment, the biggest telescopes in the world are of the order of 10 meters across the mirror. So this is 4 times larger, but remember, the collecting area, which is like a big bucket collecting light, it goes as the square of that dimension. So this is truly a step change in the ability to discover things in the universe.
We're showing our viewers some pictures of it now. It looks all very new age. Just how far into space can it actually see? What are you hoping it'll find?
So it's not so much how far, but it's how precisely. Ultimately, we have big questions in astronomy. We want to know, okay, let's say the ultimate question, are we alone? Is there life out there? When I started my PhD, we had no idea there were any other planets other than our own planet in the planetary system, the solar system. But today we know of thousands of planets out there, many of which are probably similar to Earth. What we want to know is what's on those planets. The Extremely Large Telescope will be able to not just find them and characterize them, but actually take spectra of their atmosphere. Now, when you do that, you can start gleaming whether there are signs of life on that planet. Although you're not going to take pictures of animals on those planets, you will definitely start understanding what type of activity is going on. Within the lifetime of our children, we will probably be able to answer whether it's quite probable there's life outside of Earth and outside of the solar system.
Goodness. Okay, well, that's something to look forward to. When we look at this telescope, why Chile? Why is it being built there?
So the problem with telescopes that see in the optical, that's just like our eyes, is that it's not great when there's a lot of dust or a lot of just water vapor. So what you want is high mountains, possibly near oceans, like Hawaii is great, for example, like a big tall mountain in the middle of an ocean. Chile is just as good. Australia doesn't do great with that. We don't have very tall mountains near oceans. We do great with radio telescopes on shore, but for big optical telescopes, we really need to go offshore.
So in terms of Australia's assets, how does this one in Chile compare with the SKA project that we're hearing so much about at the moment? That's the one being developed in Western Australia.
That's right. So I would say they're very similar scales. One of them, the SKA, is in the radio, and the Chilean telescope, the ELT, and the suite of telescopes of the European Southern Observatory are in the optical, although they do also have one radio telescope, ALMA. Now, imagine that you're looking at a really complicated scene with lots and lots going on through a tiny, tiny keyhole. That's like watching something with one wavelength. When you have more than one wavelength, in this case the optical and the radio together, it's like you're opening a whole window, and now you really see with clarity what's going on, and you can really create theories of what is going on in the universe. So they're very similar scales, but you really need them in tandem together in order to kind of make astronomy very powerful and understand the universe.
So what would you like to see Australia's role in this new project in Chile then? It is very far away from us, as we know. What are you hoping the government will actually commit to in terms of some sort of partnership between the projects?
Our government has been amazing at supporting astronomy. We, as Australians, are flying really high, considering we're not a huge country. We just need to continue in that venture. We're hoping to be partners of the European Southern Observatory, who are building the ELT. Think about it. Chile is not in Europe, right? So those countries that are part of the European Southern Observatory are far away from Chile too, just like Australia is. But the world is really one and very global when it comes to science. So we're hoping to be partners together with 16 European countries in building or finishing building these incredible telescopes and do the science together that requires all the brains to build all the instrumentations that will go on the back end of that telescope in order to achieve the goals that we have in mind.
Okay, so you're pushing for some further investment on that front, it sounds. In terms of the locations of the various projects we've just mentioned, they're in the southern hemisphere. What is it about the southern hemisphere that seems to be so attractive?
Well, the southern hemisphere, if you think, I mean, there is no up in space, right? But if you think of the southern hemisphere as down and the top of the Earth as up, we're slightly tilted. And as we go around the sun, the bottom part, us, the southern hemisphere, is facing towards the middle of the galaxy. There's just a lot more stars there. It's really the good side to be on. And what's amazing is that the ELT will be in the southern hemisphere in Chile, and the SKA will be in the southern hemisphere in South Africa and Australia. So we're both working together on the same side of the world, the good side of the world.
They are fascinating projects, and we really look forward to seeing them get underway and start their work, because it is fascinating stuff. Really appreciate you joining us, Professor, to give us your insights into how they're tracking.